and happy Wednesday. We are ATI Pro Media, powered by Advanced Trading. We've got a quick show for you, right? Some of the same headlines we've been talking about Monday, but the markets are still moving a little bit outside, right? We've got grains down. Tommy is in Nashville. He's going to be filling in an RFD. He's getting set up right now, and then we'll bring him in. Couple headlines we're looking at. We're seeing some EPA is going to audit about this used cooking oil supply, right? Is it okay to be used in biofuels? And then some other headlines too, right? We're seeing the outside markets move. Mortgage rates are lowering. We'll have Tommy talk about rate cuts. And with that, I say we go ahead and bring him in. Tommy, you there?
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Live from Nashville, Tennessee, here at RFD TV Studios. We got a kind of action-packed show for you. Let's take it to LaSalle Street real quick. I'll read off the prices and see what we have. Well, D's corn down 2. Border Trade wheat down 6.5. They might come in a strange order looking at my phone. Hard Red Spring down 2 3/4. Looking at KC wheat down 4. Looking at soybeans down 5. They were down about 12 or 13, so seeing a little bounce there. Take it over to cattle, live cattle up 70. Looking at feeder cattle here on my quote board, up 200. Seeing a nice little recovery here in that cattle market. Take it to outside markets, Wall Street. That's what seems to be running the world right now. Dow Jones up 450. S&P up 90. NASDAQ up 380. Extreme volatility hitting the outside markets as our Fed, Bank of Japan, everyone's calling everyone and saying, Houston, we have a problem. They're trying a little bit of damage control there. Crude oil up $1.30. Looking at some other outside markets, bonds, again, down 25. We'll talk about that 10-year yield approaching 3.95, hit a low of 3.70 the other day on that panic selling. So with that, natural gas up a little bit. Looking at the outside markets, interesting. Never a boring moment. When you blow up the VIX from 15 up to 60, you're going to see this happen. So Connor and I are going to talk about it. We welcome your questions, comments. Premium subscribers have been giving us tips and saying, hey, you guys have a lot of access to a lot of people. Can you talk about this, talk about that? And we'll continue to do that. Connor B., let's talk about the headlines.
Yeah, let's jump right into it. First one I saw, outside markets. Go to the next one, Joe, or Rick, sorry. Mortgage rates tumbled to 6.5%, biggest drop in 2 years. And couple that with the headline you sent me, Tommy. Let me pull it up here right now, about home sales, right? Tumbled to, give me 1 second if I can.
Real quick color as you get that. Airbnb down 15, 20%. Any of you out there, if you've ever stayed in Airbnb or any of these, but we use them sometimes on spring break, definitely showing some cracks. So you have interest rates coming down, and the fact you were going to say is, what'd you find?
25% of people trying to sell their homes received a price cut in June, highest rate for this time of year, from according to Zillow going back to 2018. So home sales pulling back a little bit, but we are seeing mortgage rates come down, right? Right now, I think that trend's going to continue, right? Pretty good chance of a rate cut in September. But interesting, biggest drop in 2 years. Kind of surprised me, Tommy.
And we still have an inventory problem. I retweeted that, a couple of these tweets that I noticed, and someone said, but we're still really low on inventory. We could be low on inventory, but if people are scared to buy, the truth is the popped up of everything, whether it be commodities, homes, I can give you an example of where plastics used in drain tile, the little plastics that come in the little balls that are turned into everything, tripled in price a few years ago. Things are calming down, and homes are right there with it, but we do have a low inventory. So what's happening in the home market is maybe a few people are going on a few less vacations, tightening up money a little bit, and a lot of people in 2020, exactly 4 years ago today, there was a lot of funny money out there, and a lot of people wanted to get to Florida and go on vacation and then rent that out for an Airbnb. And so now that market got a little frothy and it's having a little correction. What's happening, to your point, homes are staying on the market longer, and then a huge percentage of people have homes. We have a coworker who's had a home for sale for a year and a half, and I find that absolutely mind-boggling. And they keep lowering the price and lowering the price, and that obviously the bid and ask need to hit, right? You may think your home's worth X, your home's worth what someone's willing to buy. Back to you, sir.
Exactly. And so, other one I saw, you mentioned Airbnb earnings, Disney earnings, right? They beat it significantly. Streaming services are performing well. But here's the fun fact I saw, Tommy. If you invested $10,000 in 2014 in Disney stock, you know how much money you'd have today? Exactly $10,000.
Tell me the answers before the show. The show would be so much more fun if I didn't know the answers. This is
I need to stop telling
shows
them
where
before. I'm going to start asking
yeah,
trivia questions on show.
I was watching. I was at my parents' house and I was watching Wheel of Fortune, and the lady got a simple word wrong, and it was she was so embarrassed, but in this case, you're giving me the answers before. I don't think I do well spinning the wheel and trying to read the puzzles and everything, but something fun to do. Are your mom and dad old enough? They watch a little Wheel of Fortune at 6 o'clock, 6:30. You ever see that spinning in anyone's house?
Not, you know what? My parents don't really watch it. My grandma, though, is Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune. She never misses
Oh yeah, the whole
it. Game Show
trifecta.
Network. Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Little TMZ, get the gossip. Mr. Rick's out there just watching Wheel of Fortune. He's shaking us off. All right, we got nothing important to talk about, but it is important that we are involved in markets. Let me look at the markets real quick. What else do we have to talk about?
Look 'em
It's
up.
going to be a slow day.
Yeah, I got a good. The main headline I saw was EPA. It says it's going to audit biofuel producers' used cooking oil supply. Okay, so it's on the back of the sustainable aviation, the biofuels. Right, we've talked a lot about it this year. We've cooled a little bit because we haven't seen after March, April, we didn't see the government rhetoric we wanted to. But what they're going to look at and what people are saying is that when we're using biodiesel, sustainable aviation fuel, whatever we're going to use, right? Used cooking oil qualifies for that. And so the amount of used cooking oil that we're importing from China, a couple of people are saying, okay, that doesn't really add up. Is there that much used cooking oil? And are they flooding the market to get these government, breaks to do that? And so it'd be interesting to see, right? We hope to see it that the answer is yes, and that hopefully we can find some demand with corn and soybeans. And so I think the whole biodiesel debate, right, especially with sustainable aviation fuel, it's going to be government mandated, right? It's going to be the government's going to have to lead the charge if we want to see a big push in the next year. And so with that, it's really going to depend on who the administration is in there, Tommy, come November. And really, it's going to be a big unknown. I could paint the picture for either administration being right pro. If it's a Democrat in the office, right, they're really going to push EVs, but then also they might push the sustainable aviation, might push ethanol biodiesel as well. What are your thoughts?
No comment, but I will say this: my friend Suzanne, she's got that Noble Ag Summit down in St. Louis. And I have a lot of friends in the industry who are going to that. Probably some of you are listening to this show or on your way to it right now or went out last night and tore it up. But she's got a list of people who are just like the best of the best of the best. So if you can't attend the summit live, I hope she records it. I'd be willing to pay to watch all these speakers talk about carbon and sustainable aviation. If you go to Noble Ag, just look at the lineup she has. Those are the people who are the experts of this subject, or at least they're trying to be. I do see a lot of talk of carbon. I see farmers in Iowa like, oh, this carbon thing's becoming real. They want to put the pipeline behind me. When I go fly, I don't really ask like, hey, what'd you put in this bird? Was it the used oil from McDonald's? Like, I kind of, how sometimes you ask little kids like, where's your food come from? And they say the store. When it comes to fuel, I'm like, where's your fuel come from? The gas. The Casey's on the corner. I don't really think about it when I do. Now, when I travel through Iowa, I will say this. I actually look at the pump and I try to put the grade in with the most corn. It kind of makes me feel better. But, we have choices. Consumers have choices. Things are changing. They don't change as fast as you think. There are a lot of electronic, EVs, especially down here in Nashville. You see a lot of EVs. This climate's more, set for that, right? But as far as this other new wave, it's coming, just maybe not as fast as we think. Hence, why soybean oil chart looks horrible. I don't have enough screen room to put up a soybean oil chart, but trust me, it's not good. It used to have an 8 and a 7 in front of it. Now it's got a 4 and maybe even a 3. So we're not running out of oil anywhere.
Yeah, well said. And so with, that's what we have for headlines. We'll pop in some questions here, but just looking at the grain markets, right? Make sure you have it on your calendar. Monday, USDA report. We'll talk about that Thursday, Friday, and then I think we're planning on going live, right? But that's the main thing. I could really see just looking at commodity markets, Tommy. I mean, anything could happen, but I could really see a sideways trade until we get to that report. What are your thoughts on this price action? Right now, corn's down 3, beans down 6, 7.
Yeah, I was hoping we'd trade a little higher, get a little bit more hedged up, a little bit more sold. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. We're leaking. I can't find, outside the people in southern Minnesota and northern Iowa who had a horrible start to the year, I can't find anyone who says this is horrible. These low temperatures during the day with the rain every 3 days, then with some heat for a few days, and then a rain comes. I mean, if you wrote a recipe how to grow big bushels, a lot of America's in that recipe. And we're going to have a lot of bushels. We're going to need them. We're in the bushel business. We're going to need those bushels to make up for these lower prices. Real quick, questions, comments, and we'll get out of here. I did have something else I want to talk about. Premium content from yesterday. It was interesting. I talked about, there was 3 forms of premium content. I talked about what happened on Monday. I then started sending people links to what happened on Monday because there was a podcast that I'm friends with some of the folks, and they do such a great job of explaining the dollar-yen trade. So I talked about what happened. We sent some links, and then I was on Cow Guy, and I talked about how the stock market crash was amazing that corn closed up on the day. And many people wanted to say, you know, how could cattle go limit down, but corn's rallying? Aren't they selling everything? That's not true. If they were long and had profits into it, they were selling. If they were short and had profits into it and needed liquidity, there was an unwinding position. Scott the Cow Guy and I talked about it. I will have the privilege of hosting Cow Guy Close today, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm in Nashville at RFD TV studios right now. I can already tell you what the show is going to be. We're going to have Rebecca Wazzer on, Bob Ichino, and Carly Garner. But I need you to tune in 1 o'clock Central Time, RFD. If you don't have it in your local home area, buy the app. It's $10 a month. It's a good investment. All right. With that, questions, comments. I think, you know, we're having a quiet news day. People are having a quiet news day. I have some things I need to do. I promise I'll let you speak. You finish it up.
Yeah. So I would just rehash. I think it was a quiet news day, right? In our world, commodities markets are kind of range bound, right? On the lower end of the range. It'd be nice if we, right now, D's corn's at 403, right? Let's hold above $4 going into that report, see what happens. So I think we do have a question, Tommy. What we got?
Yeah, grab Luke. You can grab that one.
USDA projecting record Brazil harvested soybean acres for next marketing year in a La Nina year in a down market. Any thoughts? They had, right, if we could go back to Brazil soybean planting, right? Luke, if you remember going back when we started the show in ATI Pro Media, it was that delayed planting, right? They couldn't get the crop planted. Beans went above $14. I think it was brief, just a couple of days. And then what happened is they got the crop planted. They got adequate moisture. And so, in my opinion, right, we can debate acreage all we want, but in terms of rainfall, I would say they had adequate moisture to have a decent soybean crop, a decent corn crop. And so we'll see what the USDA does with the Brazil crop if they want to adjust. Remember, that's been the story all year, is that USDA is up here. What Brazil says they have for Brazil corn and soybeans is down here, right? There's a big gap. And so it's been closing slightly, but it's still record historically. And so we'll see what they say Monday. But in terms of just precipitation, I'm not surprised. Yeah, for next year. Oh, you're talking about for next year, what's planted soon. And so, in terms of big acreage, right, it's kind of the trend that they're seeing, right? They're going to plant a lot of soybeans. So not surprising at all. Tommy, any comments?
No, they just, they're Brazil. They're just going to bury American farmers, not on purpose. It's not like, hey, we're Brazil, let's bury American farmers, but they're in bed with China, and it is what it is. I'm sorry. We're going to always tell you the facts and try not to hurt your feelings, but we might do that too.
You remember when we did ATI Pro Media Live and we had Cesar talked and gave us a great fundamental review. And I think one of the questions is how much acreage could they add, right? What's that 10, 20-year projection, right? There are a lot of pushes, right? They're not going to cut down any more of the rainforest. We're seeing the European Union, even the United States, right? We don't want to see that, but there is a ton of pasture, non-rainforest, tillable ground that the room for expansion, it's significant. It's not like they've run out of tillable ground. They've got room to grow acreage. Absolutely.
You said it well. All right. Connor B, Assumption, Illinois, Tommy G, Nashville. Catch me on the Cow Guy later. If you ever miss an episode of this, hit us up. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, YouTube. You can also watch us with our friends at Acre TV. Checking out from Nashville. Going to produce a lot of premium content. Bunch of new premium subscribers yesterday. Thank you for subscribing. Click like, subscribe. the Advanced Trading YouTube channel. Wrong button, but sounded good. See you, buddy.
See ya.
Thanks for joining us. We're here every day, 9 a.m. Central. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.